Today, we're ranking them Jackbox games, every single one of them. Alright, so let's lay it out real quick. So this is all coming from my perspective as a streamer of these games, as an avid streamer of these games. So we're just gonna slap right into it. We're gonna go through this thing, we're gonna kill it to death, and maybe make some friends along the way. Alright, so we start off with Bidiots. Bidiots is a fun one. I like Bidiots. I think it's an underrated one for sure. Some big drawbacks of it are that unfortunately it is only a 6-player game, and I think this was before audiences were a thing. So that's kind of a drawback. Kind of sucks as a streamer because only a few people can get into it, because you know, you want a lot of people getting into the game when you're streaming it. But I do really like Bidiots. I think it's a lot of fun. I love the game mechanic of it being art with like different names, but they all have kind of similar names. You gotta guess, you gotta bid. It's fun. I really like the idea behind it. I'd put it in A tier. I wouldn't say it's toppest of top, but it is one of my more favorited drawing games for sure. Underrated as heck. Next we go on the Blather Round. This one is another fun one. Honestly, there's not too many bad ones. It's a goofy one. You can have a lot of fun just throwing out random guesses and just hoping you're getting it right. It's an interesting one. I think it's enjoyable. I don't think it's like crazy great. I don't think it matches with like the best of games, but I think it is a fun one. I would say it's solid B. Bomb Core is one of the very few Jackbox games that I have not played, so unfortunately that is going in the never played category. I haven't touched it. Next we've got Bracketeering, and Bracketeering is cool because it allows up to 16 players, which is great for a streamer. From a streamer's point of view, that's kind of fantastic. That's kind of up there. The gameplay is fun. I wouldn't say it's like the best out of like all of the games, because it's one of those games to where the enjoyment you get out of it really just depends on the group of people that you're playing with. You can have games that are like super amusing, super funny, super great, and then you can have games that are just kind of, you know, they're all right. They don't pop off like crazy, but still cool. But I would say C tier. I think it, like I said, the fact that it has 16 players is its biggest draw, but the gameplay isn't like the craziest. Next we go on to Champed Up. Champed Up is one of the newest drawing games from Jackbox, and I would say Champed Up is good. Personally, I don't think it's as good as Bidiots. Champed Up can be a lot of fun, again, kind of like Bracketeering. It can either be really funny, really great, a lot of fun, depending on the people you're playing with, or it can be like kind of okay. Like if you get a group of people that aren't very good at drawing and just have no creative ideas about what to do that round with the prompts they give you, you could have just kind of an okay game. But if you get some interesting prompts and people come in with good art skills, it could get cool. It could get wild. Next, we go on to Civic Doodle, another drawing game. Unfortunately, I would say Civic Doodle is probably my least favorite drawing game. I don't hate it. I think it's fun. But just as far as like the other ones, I think the gameplay behind them is more enjoyable to me. I think Civic Doodle is a C tier. I think it's okay. I think it can get a little out of hand with that one, just because the whole gameplay is based on drawing upon drawings upon drawings upon drawings, which can be a lot of fun. It can turn out to be just like super goofy and weird, but sometimes it could just get a little much. Sometimes it's like, I feel like it's not as engaging of a game as the drawing ones like Champed Up or Bidiots. So I would put it in C. It's okay. It can be a lot of fun. It can be kind of meh, kind of like Bracketeering. Next we go on to Dictionarium, and Dictionarium is another one of them that's pretty fun. I wouldn't say it pops off, it goes crazy, but it can be a goofy one. It can be fun. I would say it's another C tier. I say it doesn't like pop off big time, but it's still an enjoyable game. Just see what kind of goofy words come out of it, and sometimes it could be, again, really funny, but kind of depends on the group of people you're with. All right, now we have Drawful, and I like Drawful a lot. I think it's another really good drawing game. I would also put it in A tier. I like the gameplay behind it, where you like draw something and everybody puts in a potential title, and then everyone tries to guess which one is the actual title. So it's kind of like a Fibbage on top of a drawing game, which is pretty cool. I like that. But moving on, we got Earwax next, and Earwax is interesting. I like the idea behind it, but I just think it's not that exciting of a game. I think it can be funny, but more often than not, it's just kind of eh. So I would put it in D. I don't think it's awful. I think it's just not the best. Next we go on to Fakin It, and Fakin It, unfortunately, another one that I have never played. I haven't played any of the ones that you really have to be in person to do. Alright, next we go on to the Fibbage squad, and I think Fibbage 2 and Fibbage 1 are both B tier games. I think they're a lot of fun. They don't pop off, but I think they're really cool. But I think Fibbage 3 really took it to another level. The soundtrack's amazing. The soundtrack is great. I love the little theme song it has. And then when they added the whole different mode of Enough About You, that one is a lot of fun because you can make it a lot more personal, and then you kind of get to know one another. It's really fun for streams, and I think it is like a blast. I'm really glad they added that game mode. Next we go on to Guesspionage, and y'all know I got a soft spot for Guesspionage. Again, another one of what I would say the more underrated Jackbox games, because Guesspionage is a great time. Guesspionage is so much fun. I'd probably put it tippy top of A tier. Get over there. There you go. There you go. Where you belong, Guesspionage. Don't let anybody tell you any different. All of the different prompts that come up are like interesting talking points, and it's just interesting to get conversations going about each question. And the game kind of extends beyond just the actual like gameplay, because like I said, it's really a great conversation driver with each topic brought up, and like, oh, what percentage of people do this? I never do that. Do you do that? Oh wow, you do that? You're weird. You're a freak. Get out of my house. I hate you now. But yeah, I think Guesspionage is a lot of fun because it adds more fun than just the game itself. It's more than the sum of its parts. Next we go on to Joke Boat, and this one I'm not a huge fan of, I gotta say. It's kind of a stinker. I could see it being kind of fun if you have like a group of really funny friends, but even then, it's not great. Sometimes it's funny, most of the time it's not. And then we go on to Swatter, another one of those first party pack games. This one I only very recently tried out for this tier list, and it was okay. It doesn't pop off. It's not all that exciting. The gameplay is kind of meh. I'd put it up here with Earwax for being like, it's there, but you would never really pay that much attention to it. Next we got Madverse. I do like me some Madverse. I would say it is a definite A tier. I would probably put it a little bit ahead of Champed Up, but behind Bidiots. I think it's a really fun one. The only thing with Madverse is it can kind of also depend on like the group of people you're with. It could be a good time. It can be a lot of fun, but sometimes you just get games to where everybody's not really feeling it and the rhymes are kind of meh and it's not all that exciting. So I would say A tier is good because most of the time it is a lot of fun, but every now and then you do get those kind of games that aren't the greatest. Next you get Monster Seeking Monster, and personally, I would say that Monster Seeking Monster deserves S tier. I think Monster Seeking Monster is a really goofy one. It's silly, but it's also a lot of fun. It's got a little bit of strategy to it, kind of figuring out how to best use your monster power and making sure you don't get duped by someone else's monster power. That's kind of fun. I like that. A little more strategy than the typical Jackbox game. And just chatting with people, getting little inside jokes going. It's fun. I think it's a good time. Next we go on to Patently Stupid. Patently Stupid is probably my favorite drawing game. I gotta say, it's probably my most favoritist. I would say Patently, again, is another S tier, baby. It's a lot of fun. I really like the gameplay of it, to where you're making goofy little inventions and you're making titles and slogans for them. I really like that the game lets you add whatever you want to the prompts instead of just having like basic prompts, because then it's like every single game is different, because every time you're never going to get the same prompt twice, so it's always interesting. It's super replayable, and I just really like this one. It's my favorite drawing game by far. The next we go on to Push the Button, the Amogus of the Jackbox cinematic universe. I really like Push the Button. I think it's a lot of fun. It's probably an S tier. I would say maybe even tippy top of S tier. It might be my favorite overall Jackbox game. I really like it. I think, again, kind of like Guesspionage, it's a really good conversation starter, but not in the way that Guesspionage is, because with that one, you're like accusing people. You're being like, why would you say this about this question? And then they got to defend themselves and be like, well, what do you mean? That was a perfectly human answer to that question. It was very human-like of me to say that. I like those kinds of games, those kind of deduction games where someone's fibbing, but we gotta sleuth it out. Next, we go on to the Quiplash Trio. I would say Quiplash overall, all of them, I would say a solid B tier. I think they're fun. They don't go crazy. Sometimes you could get a really funny game of Quiplash, but it's another one of those games where it kind of relies on who you're playing with and just how funny everybody's feeling that day. You don't gotta put too much effort into it. It's pretty, straightforward, a straightforward Jackbox game. Next, we got Role Models, and Role Models is kind of a weird one. I would say it's probably D. It's not crazy. It's another one of those games where it's less players, so not as good for me as a streamer. And it's another one of those that you kind of have to know the people you're playing with for it to be as effective as a game. And I think the main gameplay mechanic is interesting, but it's not like super engaging. You're not gonna get hooked by a game of Role Models. It's just like a game you would throw on to be like, it's something to do. Next, we've got Split the Room. Ooh, I like the main gameplay of it. I think it's fun. It doesn't pop off as much as some of these other games, though. It's not as exciting and engaging as some of them. But it is another one of those games that are a good conversation starter. It is fun to talk about while you're going through. I'd give it a solid B. Maybe ahead of, behind Quiplash. Next, we've got Survive the Internet. And this one might be a hotly debated topic in the old comments. I know a lot of people, especially in the stream, really like Survive the Internet. But personally, I think it's kind of meh. I think it's kind of stank, honestly. I just don't get why people like it. It's kind of boring to me. The atmosphere is boring. The soundtrack's not all that exciting. The gameplay isn't all that fun. It's one of those games that like really relies on the group of people you're playing with. Because if everybody isn't kicking off some funny chops while they're playing, it's pretty dull. In a typical game of Survive the Internet, maybe one answer every round is going to be like really funny, and then the rest are just kind of there. Maybe some of them are slightly funny, but you're not going to be getting blown away by the comedy. I've just never really enjoyed it. I think it's a very bland game, and I just don't see why people like it so much, honestly. It's just kind of meh to the extreme. But enough about Survive the Internet. We're moving on to Talking Points. Talking Points is another one of those games where you have to be in the same room with the people, or at least like able to directly communicate with the people you're playing with. But I have played it very, very slightly, at least on stream. And while I did play it and I didn't get like the full effect of it where it was, with a group of people, I still think this game is really fun. I would love to get a group of people like IRL together to play it. I think it's an A tier. I've never played it to get the full effect of it, but I really like the gameplay mechanic of the presentation where someone else is in control, and there's just a lot of goofy potential in that, and I like it a lot. And I kind of like those games that put you in a situation to where you can kind of ad-lib and just be as weird and out there as you want. Next, we've got TKO, I believe the final drawing game. Yeah, the final drawing game. I think TKO is okay. I don't think it's crazy. I like it more than Civic Doodle, so I will put it ahead of Civic Doodle, but I don't think it's like amazing. I mean, don't get me wrong, a good game of TKO is really funny, but I feel like TKO is like there's a lot of time invested into each round, and the payoff is not like massive because you got to do all of the drawings, and then you've got to do all of the slogans, and then you got to pick what t-shirt you want to use, and there's just a lot of build up to it, and then the payoff is fun, but it's not always like, it's not always a knockout blow. Sometimes it's really great. Sometimes you get a really good game of TKO going, but I feel like more often than not, it's just kind of a good time, but not a great time. Next, we've got Devil in the Details, and this one is weird. I haven't played it too much, but from what I have played of it, I thought it was kind of stinky doo-doo, honestly. I don't really see the appeal of it all that much. It was just kind of boring. The gameplay wasn't like engaging. It wasn't fun. It wasn't like funny or unique or weird. It was just kind of, oh, okay, I guess I'll do these things now. And then we've got the Trivia Murder Party Twins. And I would say both of these belong in some solid S tier. Trivia Murder Party 2 I would put right behind Push the Button. And Trivia Murder Party 3, I'd put it in S tier, but I'd put it behind Fibbage 3. I think both of those games are really fun. I really like the trivia aspect of it. And then plus, like, with all the death mini games and the final rounds, it's just a lot of fun. It can get really intense, especially in those final rounds, and I really like it. It's probably one of the most engaging Jackbox games, so I would say they're both definitely S tier. I think the sequel improved upon the first one a lot. Next, we've got Word Spud, and Word Spud, kind of like Swatter, another one of those games from the first party pack that are interesting, but not really all that exciting, engaging, or anything like that. I would put it probably low D. It's just kind of there. It's interesting for like a minute or two, but it gets old real fast because there's only one thing you do in that game, and that's to add words to other words. Now we got the penultimate games of the You Don't Know Jack combo pack. It's interesting. I'd say the newest one is a C, and the first one probably a D, high D. It's a fun trivia game that's kind of like, it throws you for a loop every now and then, but it's not like something I go back to regularly to be like, oh, this one's a lot of fun, we need to play this one. It's another one of those games that's just kind of there. It's cool. It's got, I understand and I respect its place, but it's not my go-to game for sure, especially for trivia, because like I said, that's Trivia Murder Party all the way. And lastly, we have Zeeple Dome, which is another game where you have to kind of be in person to play it. And I have played this one with like family IRL, and it was kind of meh. Another F, I'd say. I would say it's one of the more less interesting ones. And just like that, bibbity bobbity boo, we done. We got this list all wrapped up just like that. So yeah, at the end of the day, I would say based on this list, I would be perfectly fine with saying Push the Button is my favorite and Joke Boat is my least favorite. A lot of them are a lot of fun. They all have their unique place. It's a good variety of games, and I respect it. I like the Jackbox Party Packs a lot. I hope they keep making them. They're a lot of fun to play, a lot of fun to stream, and I appreciate it when everybody comes and hangs out and plays along, because obviously that's what makes these games so fun, is playing with a big group of people, just having a good time. So anyways, thanks for hanging out. Wow, you've been such a swell guy. And other than that, Jackbox loves you. Always remember that. I do too. And I'll see you around. Take care, everybody.